What do we use these for? Okay. No, you need to show me a reference to. Okay. We poured blood. They didn't pour anything in. That's the libation. No, the libation has to do with Sukkot. On Sukkot, they poured the water all over the altar. And that was what the libation was, not alcohol. No, that's a wine. That's a Greek thing. Okay. That's a Greek pagan thing. Just done alcohol and wine. It's not a Jewish thing. I was wondering, they were doing sacrifices to the priests and well, that could be. I mean, because it said, when they said you do such and such and such and such. Yeah. Now, rams and how many bulls, and then there was libation. No, it was all blood. They pour out the blood and they sprinkle the blood on everything. Yeah, I don't know if they call it libation. So if you can give me all right, it may be in the translation. We'll talk about it at Kiddush. How about that? Chag Sameach, welcome to Agudath Ahayem Synagogue here in Montgomery, Alabama. I am Rabbi Scott Kramer. Welcome to the second day of Sukkot, a 7-day holiday that will end Sunday night with Hoshana Rabbah. But we have a lot to do before we get there. So we are praying out of Siddur Lev Shalem, which is downloadable from the Synagogue's website as a PDF form so you can follow services. Of course, you can use your own Siddur if you know which pages to follow. We begin on page 103. Please rise if you are able for the Birchot HaShachar, the blessings of the morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech v'vina lavchin ben yom u'ben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani betzomo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Mavi Sharamim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Matir Asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Zokef kefufim, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Rakal haaretz al hamayim, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Hamechin mitzrei gaver, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, She'asa li kol tzarki, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Oz Yisrael b'gvura, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Ot Yisrael b'tifara, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Hanotein layoev koach, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Uteneinu hayom v'chol yom l'chein l'chesed rachem b'minecho v'necho en v'ting malenu chasadim tovim, Baruch ata Adonai, gomer chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. You may be seated. We continue on page, I believe it's 112. 112, Psalm 92. Hayom Yom Shabbat Kodesh, Hebel Amrim B'Vet HaMikdash, Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat. Odinuvum B'Sevet Shenem Chanim Yug Lakid Gershenonite Suri V'Lo Avlatabo. Page 113, Psalm 27 for the season of repentance. David Adonai Vishmi Mimi Ira Adonai Maoz Chayai Mimi Avchad. Luhulei amanti lerot betuv Adonai be'eretz chayim, kaveh el Adonai chazak v'yametzi becha v'kaveh el Adonai. Page 120, Psalm 30. Mizmor Shir Chanakat Ba'ile David. Apach mispedi l'mocholipi taktisaki vaskani simcha l'mahen yizemer chavod v'loidom Adonai Elohai le'lam odeka. We rise, page 122, for the beginning of Sukkot Zimra, the verses of song with Baruch She'amar. Baruch She'amar v'hayaolam Baruch Hu Baruch Severeshit Baruch Omev Yoseh Baruch Ozer Kayem Baruch Merachim al Haaretz Baruch Merachim al Habriot Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov L'Oreha Baruch Chai v'Kayem LaNetzach Baruch Padel Matzio Baruch Shemo Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Yachid Chelami Melech Mishbach V'Deshma Gadol Baruch Adonai Melech Mehulal Batishbachot. You may be seated. Page 136. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitech Od Yuluchasel Hashem Shkach Lo Hashem Shonai Elohav Dilele David Armimakum. Potech et Yodecha Maspil Chayratzon Tzadikan Hanai. Tilat Adonai Dabar Pi Vivorek B'Ser Shim Kach Yolelam V'ed Vanachne Nevarech Yam Yatav Yelam Hallelujah. Page 141, Psalm 150. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'kadosh b'kia uzo, hallelujah, v'groto, hallelujah, gudlo, hallelujah, b'teka shavalenu meneva v'chinor, hallelujah, b'tofa macho, hallelujah, b'minim v'yugav, hallelujah, v'tziot slei shema, hallelujah, b'tziot slei trua, kol neshamata, hallelujah, kol neshamata, hallelujah, Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, v'amen, Baruch HaMetzion, Shechein Yerushalayim, hallelujah, Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael Senefle Levado Uvaruch Shem Kavado Lilam V'Melech Vet Koretz Amen V'Amen. Page 145. Nishmat Kochai Tivarech Et Shimecha Adonai Eloheinu. Mid melach mishvelach miaharuch lachoel hagedol gibor v'hanora el elyon k'nei shamayim ha'va'aretz nhalelachon shabechacha unfarchen v'rechet shem kodeshecha kamor leDavid parchi nafshi et Adonai v'chol keravai shem kodesho. We continue on top of 147. The nusach, or musical mode, changes from Shabbat to Shalosh Regalim, the three pilgrimage festivals. Ho'e b'tazmo dezecha hagadol b'chavod shemecha Hagibor la netzach v'nora b'noratecha Hamelech Yoshev al kisei ram v'nisa shochenad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim badunai laisharim navatila Befi Yesharim Titalau, Uvdivrei Tzadikim Tiparach, Uvilshon Chasidim Tidromam, Uvekerev Kedoshim Tidkadash, Umagalot Revavot Amachobet Yisrael. Lehodahot, lehalel, leshabeach, leferliramim la deliverek la lelukale, sal kol divrei shirot v'tishbachot, David ben Yishai, avdecha meshichecha, yishtabach shimecha la'ad malkeinu. Berachot v'hodot mi'ataviyah l'olam baruch atah Adonai el melech gadol batishbachot el hodot Adonai niflaot habocher b'shirei zimara melech el cheolamim. We continue with weekday shacharit for second day of Sukkot. Beginning on page 149, please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amavot. va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Yotzer v'rei choshech, oseh shalom, v'rei et hakol. You may be seated. We continue on page 152 in the middle. Ha'me'er lotz v'ladori, malei brachamim v'tu mechadesh b'chol yom tamim ma'aseh v'reishit. El Baruch Gedol Dehaichin V'Hazarich Zahachama Tov Yatsa Kavod Lishmo Me'orot Natan Tzvivot Uzo Pinot Tzeva Av Kedoshim Romame Shaddai Tamid Mesaprim Yitiparach Adonai Eloheinu Shavach Ma'asedecha V'Yameresha Siti Yifaru Chasela Tiporach Surenu Makin V'Golen B'Rei Kedoshim, page 153. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושת תורה בשרב זמרה, מברכים שבחים דברים מריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא, וכולם מקבלים עליהם מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונודרים רשות זה אלא זה, להקדיש לעצם מנחת רוח, בשפה ברוב נימה קדושה. כולם כאחד עונים ויאמרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, ולא כל הארץ כבודו. ואופנים וחיות הקודש פרש גדול מן מצרפים, לימתם משבחים ויאמרים, Baruch v'Adonai mimkomo la'el Baruch nimot yiteinu. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh chulanu me'er le'aro. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh Kulanu meher le'aro, Baruch ata Adonai Yotzer Hamiot, page 154. Avaravatanu Adonai Eloheinu chem le'guduvida malchota aleinu. וקרבת לשמך גדול סלע באמת להודות לך יחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בימו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקמך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, והיה אם שמוע תשמעו המצוות אשר אנוכי מצוותיכם. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית Oritem otos, chartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam. V'lo tatu acharei levavchem v'acharei nechem, asher tem zonim achareihem. Leman dizgeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etechem me'eretz Mitzrayim leot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet. Lidovido kayam ushmo kayam v'chisonakon malchuto v'minato lead kayamet. We're on page 157, fourth line from the top of the page. Udvar of Chaim. Emet shato Adonai Eloheinu v'levatenu malkeinu melech avotenu goelenu goel avotenu yotzrenet sur yeshotenu podenu matzilenu melam shemecha ein Elohim zulatecha ezrat avotenu atahu me'olam. Ram v'nisa hagado v'nora mashpilgei magbi hashfalim motzi asirim fonanavim v'yozedalim v'yon aleamo b'yechavam elav tehilot le'elad yon brachim vrach Moshe uvenis chalachan neshira b'simcha rabah v'yameru chulam mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedor b'kodesh nara tehilot osefele Shira chadasha shibechu geulim shimcha asafat hayam yachad kulam odu v'himlichu v'yameru Adonai yimloch leolam voed tzur Yisrael kuma b'ezrat Yisrael uftechinu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael go aleinu Adonai tzavot shemo kedosh Yisrael baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We rise for the Shacharit Amidah for the second day of Sukkot, and that will begin on page 306 through 314. And we'll chant the first three brachot together, after which you may continue for the final four brachot silently. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Dovim V'Pnei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Umevigu elif nevene hem laman shemo b'yahava mele ozer fokedu Mashiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ufoked Sarah atah gibor le'lam Adonai mechayem etimato rav loshia marid atah Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye Meitim Berachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asirim, Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocham Baal Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'nemanat Alachayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMeitim. Nikadesh et Shimecha B'olam, Kishem Shemakti Shimoto Mishmei Marom, Kakadu Vayad V'yecha, V'kara Zeh El Zeh V'yamar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzavot, Aloch Ha'aretz Kevodo. Az B'kol Rash Gadol, V'chazak Mashmim Kol Minatzim Notzrafim, Limatam Baruch Yomeru, Baruch Adonai Mimkomo. Mimakom Chamakin Otofia V'tim Loch Aleinu Ki Mechakim Anachnu Lach, Matai Timloch B'tzion, B'karov B'yameinu Lilam Voed Tishkon, Titgadal V'titgadash, B'toch Yerushalayim Irecha, Ledor Vador Netzach Netzachim, V'neinu Tirenu Machutecha Davar Hamu B'shirei Uzecha, Al Yedei David Mashiach Tzidkecha, Yimloch Adonai Lilam Elohai Echsion Ledor Vador, Alleluia, Ledor Vador Nagid Godlecha, Olenetzach Netzachim Kedushak Denatish, V'shivachach Lemipino Lo Yamush Le'elam Va'ed, Ki Omelech Kadosh Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai, Oy Lakadosh. Chag HaSukkot Hazeh Zeman Simchatenu. Chag HaSukkot Hazeh. Modim Anachnu Lach. So, this is the point where we get the lulav and etrog out. There are 3 sets up here, so you guys can each have one to yourself. Box. So I like to show things off. I got this very nice felt box in Mea Shearim in Jerusalem about 17 years ago, and it's just one of my prized things that I keep. It's an etrog box, and I keep my etrog in there. And on Sukkot, we take the 4 species, the palm, which is a date palm, by the way, the myrtle, the willow, and the etrog. As I mentioned yesterday, the etrog is a really interesting, it has to have the ripples on it. Unlike a lemon, which is smooth, this has to have bumps in it, and has to have so many to be kosher. This part that I'm showing, let's see, that's called the oketz. That's the stem where the fruit, it hangs from the tree. On the other side is the pitom. This has to be there. If you knock it off or somehow pinch it off, it makes the etrog non-kosher. What the pitom is as the flower on the tree absorbs water to become the etrog, that pitom is the last part of the flower. And why that fascinates me, I have no idea, but it does. And they smell great. So here's how we do the bracha. We stand and we hold the lulav in our right hand. We hold the etrog with the oketz, or the stem, up. And on page 315, we recite the bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav. We turn the etrog over with the pitom up. We put them together and we shake in the 6 cardinal directions. East, to the south, to the west, to the north, up and down. Different sects of Judaism will have different ways of shaking. I know that the Hasidic way is very unique. So we continue. Oh, Baruch Adonai Elo. No, we don't say that. I'm sorry, not like in the evening, we don't say that. Okay, sorry. So we will begin Hallel together by holding the lulav and etrog the entire time. There are 4 places in which we shake the etrog and lulav. The first one with the Hodu prayer on page 319, there's 4 times to shake. And then on page 320 with Anna. And in the last paragraph, there's a Hodu. So 3 times. Why did I say 4? I have no idea. It's 3 times. So we will start Hallel together, page 316. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et hallelu. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Abdei Adonai, hallelujah, Shem Adonai. Mikimi, 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 Me'afradao. Mikimi, 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 Me'afradao. 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 Mikimi me'afardao me'ashpod yarim evyon laho shivi im nediveyam mo shivi akeret abayit hem abenim samecha hallelujah betzeit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim Beit Yaakov me'am loyez Hayatah Yehuda lekadsho Yisrael mamshlotav hayam ravaya nos hayarden yisov leachor he'arim rakedu che'elim giva od kivnetzon mahalechayam kitanus hayarden tisov leachor He'arim tirkedu che'elim givod kivnetzon milifnei adan chuli aretz milifnei Elo Yaakov haochviat surgamayim chalamish l'mayim no mayim. Page 317. Lo lanu Adonai lo lanu ki l'shimcha tein kavod el chastecha al amitecha. Yisrael, Yisrael, betach ba'Adonai, Ezram, Ezram, umaginam, Ezram, umaginam, hu, Beit Aharon, bitchuva Adonai, Ezram, Ezram, umaginam, Ezram, umaginam, hu, Yirei Adonai, bitchuva Adonai, Ezram, umaginam hu. Adonai zechron Yevarech et Beit Yisrael, Yevarech et Beit Aharon, Yevarech Yirei Adonai, Haketanin in Agedolim, Yosef Adonai Alechem, Alechem v'abenechem, Beruchim atem l'Adonai, Ose shamayim va'aretz, shamayim, shamayim l'Adonai, ve'aretz l'tan l'bnei Adam, lo ametim yahaleluya, ve'lokol yordei duma, v'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata v'yad olam, me'ata v'yad olam, hallelujah. Ahavti ki yishma Adonai et koli tachanunai. Hemanti ki adaber ani aniti meod ani amarti vechovzi ko adam kozev ma'ashiv l'Adonai lo hialai ko shishu adasav v'shem Adonai ekra. Nidarai l'Adonai shalem negdana lecholamo bechatzrot Beit Adonai betoch Yerushalayim. Hallelujah. Page 319, the line before we start the shaking of the lulav for the first time. Sorry, I have to move all this stuff. Hallelujah, Adonai, kol goyim shabchu, kol haomim, ki gavar aleinu chasto ve'emet, Adonai leolam, hallelujah. Hodu l'Adonai, ki leolam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai, ki leolam chasto. Yom marna Yisrael, ki leolam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai, ki leolam chasto. Yom marna v'davon, ki leolam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki leolam chasto Yom Runa Yirei Adonai ki leolam chasto Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki leolam chasto Mina Meitzar Karatiya Anani Vamirkavya Mina Meitzar Karatiya Anani Vamirkavya Anani Vamirkavya Anani Vamirkavya. Oziv Zimrat Yah Vayehili Lishua 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 Oziv Zimrat Yah Yeshua. Pitchuli Sha'arei Tzedek Avovam Odiyah. Pitchuli Sha'arei Tzedek Avovam Odiyah. Ze Asher L'Adonai Tzadikim Yavovo. Ze Asher L'Adonai Tzadikim Yavovo. Odecha ki anitani vati lishua. Odecha ki anitani Vati lishua even masu abonim ayatal roshpina even masu abonim ayatal roshpina meit Adonai ayatazot iniflat bienenu meit Adonai ayatazot iniflat bienenu ze hayom asa Adonai nagila vet nismechavo ze hayom asa Adonai nagila vet nismechavo Adonai oh she ana Adonai, oh, she, Anam, Adonai, Hatzlichana, Adonai, Hatzlichana, Baruch, ba b'shem Adonai, Berach nuchem mi beit Adonai, Baruch, ba b'shem Adonai, Berach nuchem mi beit Adonai, El Adonai v'yayin lanu, Yisachak bavotinat karnu tamizbeach. El Adonai v'yayin lanu, Yisachak bavotinat karnu tamizbeach. Eli ata v'yodeka, Elohai aramemeka. Eli ata v'yodeka, Elohai aramemeka. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki leolam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki leolam chasto. Yahalaluch Adonai Eloheinu ki masecha. Ki lecha tov laodot, u'shimcha lezamer, ki me'olam v'ad olam ata'eh, baruch atah Adonai, melech v'hulal batishbachot. You may set your lulav and etrog down till after the Torah service, where we will do the hakafot. Just lay them on it. Yeah, it's good. Okay. With all this stuff again. Should be nice to have two of these. Two of the microphones. Of course, if I use the around the ear mic, I wouldn't have that problem, but it's a little uncomfortable to wear. Let me make sure. I have to. These holidays are. That's not the word I was going to use. Involved liturgically. It's not like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's all one thing, right? With Sukkot, it starts out being one thing, a whole bunch of different things, but then you have Chol HaMoed Sukkot, the in-between time, and the liturgy there changes, and then you have Shabbat Chol HaMoed, with its interesting, and then you have the last day of Sukkot, which is Hoshana Rabbah, and that is the one holiday that has everything, including the kitchen sink, thrown in. You have high holiday melodies, you have holiday melodies, it's Shalosh Regalim. Literally everything that you could put into a service is put into Hoshana Rabbah. And then with Shmini Atzeret, which is next Sunday night and Monday, that is more of a solemn day. That's why we have Yizkor on Shmini Atzeret. I think the rabbis were rather keen to the fact that their flock tended to not want to go to second day services and end of holiday services. So it's interesting where they put Yizkor. They put Yizkor on the last day of Passover. They put Yizkor on the second day of Shavuot. And on the day after Sukkot ends, on Shmini Atzeret and Yom Kippur. Those are the 4 times a year. They're all end. They're all in the end thing. So it's I don't know why I find that interesting. I just do. All right, we're going to go and continue with our holiday virtual Torah service beginning on page 322. I'm going to change the cam or else everybody will yell at me. I can tell when you yell because they use caps. But sometimes I don't look at the screen and I don't see the comments. The cam is moved. I will move. Page 322. When the ark is open, you may stand if you are able. Oh, what page did I say? Thank you. I should have had this one open. Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai v'ein kema'asecha malchutecha malchut ko olamim umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam voed Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom av harachamim heitiv avirtzoncha et Zion tivnech amod Yerushalayim tivnech amod b'Yerushalayim כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך ערם ונישא, אדון עולמים. ויהי בנשוא אהרון, ויאמר משה, קומה אדוני, ויפוצו אויביך, וינוסו משנאיך מפניך, כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל, בקדושתו. Page 323. Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech Ahayem, v'rav chesed v'emet, Dotzer chesed lalafim, Nase avon v'fesha, v'chata v'nhake. Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech Apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, Notzer chesed halafim, Nose avon v'fesha, v'chata v'nake. Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech Apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, Notzer chesed halafim, Nose avon v'fesha, v'chata v'nake. Va'ani tefilati, tefilati, lecha Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chastecha, aneni, aneni, be'emet yishecha. Va'ani tefilati, tefilati, lecha Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chastecha, aneni, aneni, be'emet yishecha. Page 325. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai, Adonai Shemo Yachtav, Lecha Adonai Agedula, V'hagevura v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach v'hahod, Kicho b'shamayim uvaretz, Kicho b'shamayim uvaretz, Lecho Adonai hamamlacha v'yamid na'aseh, Lecho l'rosh romemu, romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu avishtachavu, lahadam raglav kadoshu, romemu, romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu, v'hishtachavu, lahar kadsho, lehar kadsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. You may be seated. We continue with the Torah reading. Let me make sure I don't get out of place here. There we go. So yesterday I chanted and translated the first two aliyot, and there's a lot of interesting things about Sukkot. The Torah readings are really interesting. I think this is the only holiday where on Sukkot day 1 and day 2, the readings are identical. Usually when you get holidays like this, they progress. Even on Rosh Hashanah, day 1, day 2, it's different. Pesach, day 1, day 2. Shavuot, 1, 2. But on Sukkot, they're the same. I want to point out one, I'm not going to go on with this, but I just want to point out one other thing. If you were to go in the Torah and analyze what sacrifices were brought on each day of Sukkot, you would not notice anything because, when you start reading about sacrifices, you start nodding off after the second mention of a bull being slaughtered. But I always find these types of text, this type of text, especially in the Torah, when it gets to be really dry, repetitive, you might say almost boring, there is something fascinating in the text. And if you took the time, you would notice, why would you even care? But you would notice that on each day of Sukkot, as it progresses, there's one type of animal, the numbers decrease. Okay? And I don't remember if it's a bull or a ram, but it would go from 12 to 11 to 10. It decreases on each day of Sukkot. Now, here is why that is interesting, really interesting and significant, because it has something to do with the holiday of, anybody want to guess? Hanukkah. There's a debate in the Mishnah. Should we start with one candle and increase each day? Or do you start with 8 and decrease? Of course, Hillel takes the first viewpoint, Shammai takes the second viewpoint, and of course we know that today in Hanukkah we start with 1 and we increase. But why would anybody take this viewpoint of starting with 8 and decreasing? Okay, well, it has to do with Sukkot. And the reason it has to do with Sukkot, because Hanukkah is an 8-day holiday. We celebrate it with Hallel and song. It is a joyous holiday. And in 1 Maccabees, which is not out in the Jewish canon, okay, it was removed by the rabbis when they put together the Torah of the Jewish Bible, the Tanakh. But if you were to read 1 Maccabees, you would notice that the word Hanukkah never appears. The miracle of the oil never appears. But what does appear is it says at the end, or somewhere in 1 Maccabees, a long book, unlike this talk, need a little snare drum there. It says that Hanukkah is Sukkot in Kislev. Kislev is the month that Hanukkah occurs, the 25th of Kislev. And it says that Hanukkah is Sukkot in Kislev. Sukkot was not observed that year because the temple was desecrated on Hanukkah. The temple was reconsecrated. And so the first holiday the Jews wanted to celebrate, or Judah the Maccabee wanted to celebrate, Sukkot. So they observed Sukkot in Kislev. And so a lot of the traditions we have on Hanukkah are related to Sukkot. And that's why the 8 to 1 really does make sense, even if it, who cares? But it does make sense. It really does, on some other levels as well. Okay. Now that I've lost half of you or more. We are going to do Aliot, three. We'll start with three and then we'll see where we go. This is Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15, which is on page 726 in your Eitz Chaim Chumash. This is along the lines of describing the holidays of the year, the set times. Hold on one second. 3:15. Make sure I get this right. Yeah. Usvartem lachem mimocharat HaShabbat miyom havi achem et omer hatnufa sheva Shabbatot mimot tihyenna ad mimocharat HaShabbat HaShvi'it tisperu 50 yom v'hikravtem mincha chadasha ladonai Mimoshvotechem taviu lechem tenufa shtayim neshenei esronim soleti enachametz teafena ambikurim ladunai v'hikravtem ahalechem shivat kivasim temimim b'nei shana Ufar ben bakar echad ve'elim shnayim yehu ola ladonai uminchatam v'niskehem isherech nichoach ladonai va'asitem se'irizim echad lechatat ושני כבשים בני שנה לזבח שלמים והניף והכהן אותם הלחם הביקורים תנופה לפני אדוני על שני כבשים קודש יהיו לאדוני לכהן וקראתם בעצם היום הזה מקרא קודש יהיה לכם כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו חוקת עולם בכל מושבותיכם לדורותיכם ובקוצריכם את קציר ארצכם לא תכלה פאת שדך בקוצריך ולקט קצירך לא תלקט לעוני ולגר תעזוב אותם אני אדוני אלוהיכם. From the day on which you bring the sheaf of elevation offering, the day after the Sabbath, you shall count off 7 weeks. So this day in which you bring the sheaf or elevation offering happens to be the second day of Passover. We mentioned this counting of 7 weeks. We started at the second Seder. They must be complete. You must count until the day after the 7th week. That's on the 50th day. 50 days, then you shall bring an offering of new grain to the Lord. You shall bring from your settlements 2 loaves of bread as an elevation offering. Each shall be made of 2/10 of a measure of choice flour, baked after evening as first fruits to the Lord. With the bread you shall present as burnt offerings to the Lord 7 yearling lambs without blemish, 1 bull of the herd, 2 rams with their grain offerings and libations, a gift of pleasing odor to the Lord. You shall also offer 1 he-goat as a purification offering and 2 yearling lambs as a sacrifice of well-being. The priest shall elevate the 2 lambs together with the bread of first fruits as an elevation offering before the Lord. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. On that same day you shall hold a celebration. It shall be a sacred occasion for you. You shall not work at your occupations. This is a law for all time in all your settlements throughout the ages. One more. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord, am your God. So I'm going to change what I told a congregant earlier when he wanted to know about the libations. I have to admit, I am a little confused by that, and I'm going to have to look that up. I am going to have to look it up. Because it doesn't ever mention what you do with them. It doesn't say here exactly what you're supposed to do with them. So I am going to find out what that is about and get back to you. So the holiday they're talking about here is Shavuot. This is the holiday after the 7-week counting, the 7 weeks of 7 days plus 1 day of counting. This takes us to the holiday of Shavuot, which has no date in the Jewish calendar. Okay, usually when it says like Sukkot on the 7th month, on the 15th day of the month, you shall do this on the 1st day and the 10th day. So Shavuot isn't like that. It says after 50 days. There's no set day in the Jewish calendar. Yes, we observe it as the 6th and 7th of Sivan. But according to the biblical calendar, it has no set date, which I find interesting. Okay, I'm going to do another aliyah. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Israel lemor, b'chodesh hashvi'i b'echad lachodesh, yeh lachem Shabbaton, zichron Torah mikra kodesh, kol meleket avodah lo ta'asu, v'hikravtem ishel Adonai, vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Be'asor lachodesh hashvi'i hazeh yom ha'kippurim hazu mikra kodesh yalachem v'nitem et nafshotechem v'ikravtem ishel Adonai v'chom lacha lo ta'asu be'etzem hayom hazeh ki yom kippurimu lechaper alechem lifnei Adonai Elohechem כי כל הנפש אשר לא תאונה בעצם היום הזה ונכרתה מעמיה וכל הנפש אשר תעשה כל מלאכה בעצם היום הזה ועבדתי את הנפש ההיא בקרב עמה כל מלאכה לא תעשו חוקת עולם לדורותיכם בכל מושבותיכם. שבת שבתון הוא לכם, ועיניתם את נפשותיכם בתשעה לחודש בערב, מערב עד ערב, תשפכו שבתכם. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people thus, in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, we consider that to be the 1st month and the 1st day of the month, you shall observe complete rest, a sacred occasion commemorated with loud blasts. You shall not work at your occupations, and you shall bring a gift to the Lord." So this holiday is not called Rosh Hashanah. It's never mentioned in the Bible. That name does not occur until the Mishnah and in the Talmud, because by then the calendar had shifted from a spring New Year to a fall New Year. And so all the days. Also in the Bible, we have about 3 of the Hebrew months actually listed, but they're not the names we use. Like Passover occurs in the month of Aviv, okay? Aviv in Hebrew is the spring. Okay, but in the Bible, Aviv is the name of a month that they used. We don't know what the calendar is, but it was some unknown calendar. We have 3 of the months named. We don't use any of those. So the names we get Tishrei, Cheshvan, Sivan. We got those from the Babylonians when we were in exile, and they come from the names of Babylonian gods. That is the truth. So that's Rosh Hashanah, called Yom Teruah, the day of blowing of the shofar. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, mark the 10th day of the 7th month, or the 10th day of the 1st month, is the day of atonement, Yom HaKippurim. Doesn't call it Yom Kippur, it calls it Yom HaKippurim. It shall be a sacred occasion for you. You shall practice self-denial, and you shall bring a gift to the Lord. You shall do no work throughout that day, for it is a day of atonement on which expiation is made on your behalf before the Lord your God. That's when they bring the 2 goats, put crimson around one of the ears. That one is sent to Azazel, which probably was a demon god in ancient Israel, and to the desert. I won't spare you the gory details of actually what happened to the goat. But the second goat is sacrificed for the sins of Israel. Indeed, any person who does not practice self-denial throughout the day shall be cut off from his kin. Severe. And whoever does any work throughout that day, I will cause that person to perish from among his people. Do not work, whatever it is, a law for all time throughout the ages in your settlements. It shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for you, and you shall practice self-denial on the 9th day of the month at evening. From evening to evening you shall observe this Sabbath. Okay, I'm not going to chant the next Aliyah, but I'm going to read because I want to complete this rendering of the holidays. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, say to the Israelite people, on the 15th day of the 7th month, that's the 15th day of the 1st month, there shall be the feast of booths, Chag HaSukkot. It's exactly what we call it. To the Lord to last 7 days. I'll repeat, 7 days. The first shall be a sacred occasion. You shall not work at your occupations. 7 days you shall bring gifts to the Lord. On the 8th you shall observe a sacred occasion. That's curious. It says Sukkot is 7 days. And then it says, on the 8th day, you shall observe a sacred occasion and bring a gift to the Lord. It is a solemn gathering. You shall not work at your occupations. That's why Sukkot is so confusing. Okay? The Bible is confused about it, it appears. Those are the set times of the Lord that you shall celebrate as sacred occasions, bringing gifts to the Lord, burnt offerings, sacrifices, libations on each day, what is proper to it, apart from the Sabbath of the Lord, and apart from your gifts, and from all your votive offerings, and from your free will offerings that you give to the Lord. Mark on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the yield to your land, you shall observe the festival of the Lord to last 7 days, a complete rest of the first day and a complete rest on the 8th day of a 7-day holiday. Go figure that one out. On the first day, you shall take the product of the hadar tree. Okay, that is the date palm. And it says the product of the hadar tree. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean the palm itself. It's really talking about the dates that are on that palm. Branches of palm trees, boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook. That's the myrtle and the willow. And you shall rejoice before the Lord. Oh, and I'm sorry. So the product of the hadar tree, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It is that the etrog. It is the etrog. You shall observe it as a festival of the Lord for 7 days in the year. You shall observe it in the 7th month as a law for all time throughout your ages. You shall live in booths 7 days. All citizens in Israel shall live in booths in order for future generations may know that I made the Israelite people live in booths, which I brought to them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So Moses declared to the Israelites the set times of the Lord. So in Sukkot, we read about all of the entire cycle of the holidays of the Jewish year. And I have to say, I think of maybe all religions, I think Judaism is packed with them. We have two packets of holidays, one on the high holidays, a 3-week period of many, many holidays, Passover, then to Shavuot. Those are the bulk of the Jewish holidays. Holiday of Purim and Hanukkah are not in the Bible. Okay, they're outside the Bible. They're different holidays. But I find it interesting, and other faiths, like in Mormonism, they observe Christmas really, strongly. But on Easter, they have a church gathering of their conference on the day of Easter. Okay, they have no holidays other than maybe this is the place in July 24th. Our son was born on July 23rd, so we always told him the parade and the fireworks were because for him on the 24th. It's a big holiday in Salt Lake. But there are faiths that don't have that many holidays. They don't. I think we're the only ones that just have. If you counted up all the holidays you're not supposed to work in, it would come out more than the 2 weeks most of us in our previous jobs were allotted for the year. So you really do need to live in a large Jewish city where Jewish holidays are observed, including with the businesses that you work at. So, okay. What's that? And the schools, yes. So when growing up in Baltimore, my high school was half Jewish. We had a lot of Jews in that school. The other half was Christians, African Americans, whatnot. And on the high holidays, there would be most of the schools gone. Baltimore didn't recognize Jewish holidays as an excused day off. You had to bring a note from your parent, okay, so that you didn't get marked absent. And what wound up happening is the non-Jews, the African Americans, they would fake notes from their parents saying, we're off for the high holiday, sorry. 1 second. Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. We'll do a Mishaberach for those in and out of our community in need of a blessing for physical, spiritual healing. Mishaberach Avotei Avram Yitzchak Yaakov Sar Rivka Rachav Leah Hu V'Yivarech V'Rapeh Et Helen Byrne, Chana Batzar, Marjorie Allen, Charles Millard, Marsha Orange, Leon Capuano, Virginia Madden, Tana Boulard Rivera, Roberta Rivera, Ninshul, Baruch Ben Elisheva, Kebuli, Jeannie Miser, Deanna Barber, Kef Caldwell, Margaret Caldwell, Benjamin Ben Miriam, Susie Bierman, Ray Lovato Jr., Lloyd Amoy, Maddie Reminga, Iris Rivka, Becca Martinez, Mary Savko, Marlon Barnes, Isaac Ben Joseph, Zoe Martinez, Tara Bet Joseph, Nikki Decker, Daniel Ben Chava, Josie Labato, Teresa Labato, Kayloni, Marcia Price, Phyllis Carson, Art Sandak, Buddy Labato, Malka Amster, Alberta Parker, Raymond James Gray, Johnny Sweat, Ernest Rain, Russell Jr., Harav Malki Tzedek, Ben Barucha. Any other names? Elishava Batzar. V'et kol achim b'kila g'hudusha Agudath Ratzachem v'kilan tabo bedos hakadosh baruch hu yimalei rachim yimalehim lachzikum v'chabetam v'shlach leim erfush leim min hashmat nefesh v'daguf b'toch sha'achalei Yisrael v'chshabat al yom tov hu melizog refuah karova lavash tabakalav zman kariv v'nomar amen. I wish all those suffering refuah shlema a quick and complete healing. We rise to return the virtual Sefer Torah, page 340. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai. Yineskav Shemo Levado. Odu Aleret V'Shamayim. Vayaren Keren Le'amo. Tehila Lecho Chasidav Livnei Yisrael Am Karovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, LeDavid Mizmor. Sehu sharim rashechem linasu pitrei olam v'yavo melech hakavod mi melech hakavod Adonai Izus v'gibor Adonai gibor milchama Sehu sharim rashechem usehu pitrei olam V'yavo melech hakavod, mi who's a melech hakavod, Adonai tzivaot u'melech hakavod, Selah. Page 342. Uvnucho yomar, Ki lekach tov natati lachem, Torati al tazovu eitz chaimi lamachazikim ba vetomcheha meushar deracheha darchinoham v'chol netivoteha Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Kadesh Ameinu, Kikedem. You may be seated. Okay. That go back? Okay. We'll rise now for the festival Amidah for Musaf, which is on page 343 through 355. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Haggadah Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Dovim V'Gonei Yaakov V'Zocher Chastei Avot ומביא גואל לפני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר פקד ומשיח מגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם מפקד צרת הגיבור לעולם אדוני מחיים איתי מהתורה והושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים והופך עולים ומתיר אסירים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מתחמוכם בעל גבורות ומדומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים נריצך ונקדישך כסוד שיח שרפי קודש המקדישים שמך בקודש Kakatu vayat v'yecha v'kara zev yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai tzavot, melech haaretz kevodo. Kevodo malei olam mishortav sholim ze leze yemekum kevodo. Liumatam baruch yomeru. Baruch Adonai min komo. Min komo yifen barachim yechem yachadim. Shmo erev avoke b'chol yom tamid. Pamahim b'yavashma omerim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshinu, Hu Yashmin Brachamav, Sheni Le'nei Kol Chai Liot Lachem Le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adirenu Adonai Adonenu Ma'adir Shimcha B'chol Arts, V'al Melech Al Kol Arts, V'yomer Echad, U'Shemo Echad, U'Divrei K'Shechal Katuv, Le'mor Yimloch Adonai Le'Olam, Elohai Yitzyon L'dor V'dor, Hallelujah, L'dor V'dor Nagid, Good Lecha, U'Lenetzach Netzachim, Kedushak Tenatish, V'Shivachach Al Mipino Lo Yamush Le'Olam Va'ed, Ki El Melech Kadova Kadosh, Ata Baruch Ata Adonai, Hoi L'Kadosh. Chag HaSukkot hazeh zeman simchatenu. Chag HaSukkot hazeh. ו-15 יום לחודש השביעי מכל קודש יהיה לכם כל לחם. מודים אנחנו לו. We take our lulav etrog again, and we turn to page, 383, where we will, okay, hang on. We will do our daily hakafah, one circuit around, which go up and down this aisle here. Oops, wrong day. Sorry. I'll get it. I really will. Evenstein. Okay. Okay. Just get my bearings here. There it is. And then Shata is 385. Okay. Hosanna, 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 Leman Eloheinu, Hosanna, Hosanna, Leman Boreinu, Hosanna, Hosanna, Leman Goelenu, Hosanna, Hosanna, Leman Dorshenu, Hosanna, 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 Evenstein, Hosanna, Egelachira, Hosanna, Yoren Arnan, Hosanna, Hosanna, Yevira, Hosanna, Armoria, Baharia, Hosanna, Ultimate Hosanna, 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 385. Anivo, Hosanna. Bottom page 386. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachletecha, urim, 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 urim v'nasid ad olam. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachletecha, urim, 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 urim v'nasid ad olam. V'yudvaril. Kol Amehats Ki Adonai Hu Elohim En Ohod. You may put your etrog and lulav back sheaf, or just lay it down. I'll do it after services. And put your etrog back in the little protective box. I got to remember to get these bags for next year so we can. It's a better way to put the lulav in safekeeping. I think okay, 204. Now we go all the way back 204. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Gadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Cheloheinu, Mi Chadonenu, Mi Chemalkeinu, Mi Chemoshienu, No del Eloheinu, No del Adonenu, No del Malkeinu, No del Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Tahu Eloheinu, Tahu Adonenu, Tahu Malkeinu, Tahu Moshienu, Tahu Shektiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Kedot Hasamim. We rise 205 as the ark is opened for Elena. L'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotze bereshit shelo asan kagoye haratzot velo samanu kamishmachot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahim v'gohoralenu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim mishtachavim umodim לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה יקרא בשמיים עמהו ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד המת מלכנו וזולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד על כן נקבל אדוננו לירמי בדברו ככתוב בתורתך אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Turned off. Those observing yahrzeit and those who mourn, please rise. Page 207. Join me for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash merabah b'yomad divrach v'tei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yimechon v'chayedach beit Yisrael ba'agalav zman kariv yimaru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam umel maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitchumam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudisha b'richu le'lamin kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran b'yoma v'yimaru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. O shalom mimramav u'yaseh aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Thank you for joining us, for the second day of Shavuot. Nice. We had almost a minyan online. We have 3 in the sanctuary. It's great. It's all great. I love to see numbers in both. Let me turn that back. Sorry. Services will continue for Chol HaMoed on Thursday morning at 7:15, with breakfast following. And Friday night, we have the Pray and Pink Shabbat. We have a very, very special speaker that evening. The wonderfully decorated Sukkah is in our courtyard for the first time, and we are wired for internet, so we will be online. And you can see our beautiful Sukkah and our beautiful people-filled Sukkah. And we're going to have, I guess they're going to have pizzas. They're calling pizza in the hut. Okay. How Jews are not very creative. Okay. Sorry, said that out loud. And then Shabbat Chol HaMoed services Saturday morning. We do have Havdalah this coming Saturday night at 7. And then we go into Hoshana Rabbah on Sunday. And then Shmini Atzeret on Sunday night and Monday. And Monday night is, of course, Erev Simchat Torah, our big, tasty cabbage dinner. And Cantor Neil Schwartz will be with us for Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. Okay. What? Oh, on Sunday, I forgot completely. We have our Irene and I are sponsoring our open Sukkah, which we call it a vegetarian potluck. If you would like to bring over something that's vegetarian in a disposable container, we will provide drinks and utensils and the house and the wild dogs. We got them, and you can come and hang out in our sukkah or our patio. Food is not mandatory. We will even have some of my neighbors come and join us as well. Okay, so that's between 1 and 4 on Sunday. Completely forgot about that. Page 211. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra v'yachare kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yiyeh b'tifara V'hu yiyeh b'tifara, v'hu echad v'yein sheni l'am shelo l'hachbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'hamisra, v'hu eli v'chaygo eli, v'tzor chevli b'yetzara, v'hu nisi umanosli, menat kosi b'yom mekra, Minat kosi b'yom mekra, b'yado afkid ruchi, b'yet ishan v'yaira, v'himmeruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira, Adonai li v'lo ira.